commission will come up with a panel of 3 judges and submit those to the governor, and then the 3 candidates, and then submit those to the governor, and then the governor picks one of those and appoints them as the associate circuit judge or the circuit judge. And then they have to stand for retention.
Right.
In the first year, they're on the ballot right away. A year later, and it's just an up or down vote. It's a yes or no vote. They don't have an opponent. But people just say, yes, I want to keep this judge, or no, I don't. And if they say no, then
that's significant. That's very significant.
And that doesn't happen very often.
No,
right. The Missouri Bar, and so we vote in Lincoln County. We vote on the appellate judges here. Okay, Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. You'll see those on the ballot in November. And it'll say, do you want to retain, Judge, Jane Smith, and most of us are going, who's Judge Jane Smith? How do we know? That's one of the problems with that system is it's really hard for voters to know. If you're busy earning a living and taking care of your family and minding your own business, how do you know who's a good appeals judge and who's not, right?
Right, you'll be able to look up case records and...
So, yeah, you can do a lot of homework.
Yeah.
So I generally defaulted to a no on everybody in the hopes that maybe that was the no that was needed.
Well, so there's a couple of ways to do that. The Missouri Bar Association, you can go to their website, and they have a page on rating the judges, the appellate judges. Okay? And so they survey the lawyers is what they do. Right. And lawyers will say, yes, this is a good judge, or no, this is not a good judge. And so they'll give their rating on that website. And so that's a way that voters can know who the, perhaps one source of information if somebody should be retained or not retained. And again, for us here in Lincoln County, that we're just talking about the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. Because I know you all want to cast an informed ballot, and it's hard to do when you're not in court every day and you don't read all that stuff and necessarily know. And I understand that completely. Even in a county like St. Charles County, to have elections for the judges. I mean, St. Charles County has 400,000 people in it now, right? And most folks vote and have no idea, who's the better judge.
And I think a lot.
It makes more sense in a smaller county.
Yeah, when people don't understand, if you're not well known or you're not from here or whatever, you just pick that big last name. Oh, well, that's a Flynn or that's a Schmidt or whatever your last name is.
In the smaller counties, you're going to know, folks would know more. And I think most folks in the smaller county, and I grew up in a county a lot smaller than Lincoln County. Howard County, anybody know where that is? Fayette, Missouri.
See, that's how small it is. Nobody's heard of it.
Central Methodist College.
Central Methodist. That's right. I went to Central Methodist. Everybody knows everybody, right? So, and there may only, there's only 3 lawyers in town, so they have, they take turns running for prosecutor and running for judge and all that. But in the big counties, it's tough, and so I'm sharing this information because there's pros and cons to each system. Having a contested partisan election, what happens if nobody runs and there's no opponent? Should any election for judge really be partisan? Is that a Democrat-Republican thing? I mean, hopefully every judge is just honest and fair and impartial and applies the law, right? So, that's an issue.
Like you said, your beliefs really shouldn't enter the courtroom.
Right, exactly. So we have, in our civic education program, we have some of those PowerPoint presentations are on cases where the judge had to do something was personally opposed to what I might want to do, but as a judge, you're compelled to follow the law and the constitutional privileges. One of them is burning the American flag.
That's the only way to dispose of the flag too, in old times.
Well, properly, yeah.
Yes.
Once
ceremonious.
Yeah. I think these are cases in which it's not quite that respectful. But I know what you're saying. But the U.S. Supreme Court, they had to rule that that's freedom of speech. And even though it's when you were jumping jumping out of those airplanes, you know, you probably,
It's a symbol is all, really. You know, it evokes an emotion in me, but not so much that when I see people wearing the flag in their t-shirts, on their boots, and their bikinis and things like that, which is also against flag etiquette, that I feel violent or anything like that. You know, and just like the Supreme Court feels, I serve to protect the Constitution, not the flag.
right. Okay. Well, you should be on the U.S. Supreme Court because that's what they rule. So,
Oh yeah, Judge Hang 'em High Herb.
So that's exactly right. I mean, it's while we may not like that, it's a civil liberty and it was protected free speech. You know, that's so. And I just use that as an example because you know judges you need to do the right thing, not your own whims or you know, predispositions. So, yeah. But anyway, you know, as far as selecting judges go, I mean, there's pros and cons to each way to do it. I suspect that in the smaller counties, people would still want to elect the judges and have because if you otherwise you give up that ability to the governor. And, you know.
Is there a way to recall a judge though, or to get them out before election time?
We don't have judicial recall in Missouri. Some states do.
What about the Office of Disciplinary Counsel? I think that's how they got Menemeyer removed.
There is a process for filing a complaint against a judge, but it's not a. If the judge were to be removed, it would have to be done through that disciplinary.
Right, not like through voter recall.
Right, not through a voter recall.
Is there something that has changed then? Because the state constitution, I believe in Article 7, says that a member of the House of Representatives or the Senate can bring a judge up for impeachment.
The legislature, I think, can.
So can they?
You know, I'm not real familiar with that because fortunately that never happened to me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I want to know everything. I ask all kinds of questions.
That's a fair question. I'm just glad it didn't happen to me. So,
absolutely can.
I think the legislature can begin that. Yeah, they can do that process. But again, it's not a voter recall.
But it would be something that if enough people who are constituents reached out to their representative and said, we want you to do this, it would kind of be a voter-led thing, which is the citizens would be encouraging their representatives.
Yeah, it could be a grassroots.
Grassroots.
It's a rare process, but it's
fortunately
correct.
Well, yeah, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that every week.
And you hope that the judges that are running unopposed are doing so because they're doing such a fantastic job.
Well, there's a lot of that. I mean, we've got a lot of great judges, and you know, they're good people, hardworking people, honest people, do a good job, and that's you know, sometimes the best way is to not draw attention to yourself by doing stupid stuff. You know, so
like running for mayor.
But again,
well, I was just talking about judges.
But again, your
I'm
judge
still holding off on my announcement.
As a judge, you're only allowed to look at what these two attorneys bring into the court, which is sometimes that is being led by your police force. You know, that's what. Yeah, it starts in their own backyard. You know, that's
the problem we have with justices here in Lincoln County is they defer to the prosecutors and the police departments far too often.
So the judge is bound by the evidence in the courtroom, and it's I always say the most powerful officer, the most powerful elected official in the state of Missouri in terms of not having to answer to anybody is the prosecuting attorney.
True enough. An awful lot of discretion there.
The prosecuting attorney has a huge amount of discretion. They can bring charges. They cannot bring charges. They can decide, you know, what the charges are. You know, if they think they have the evidence. And there's no and again, I think by and large our prosecutors are great people and do a good job. But once they make a decision, there's no recourse.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody can tell them to not do it. If a judge violates the law, then the Court of Appeals is going to reverse it, right? But there's no one to reverse a prosecutor. They're elected by the people and they have that discretion. So yeah, that's very true. It's a powerful office. Yeah. So that is the way our system is set up.
We're all gonna end up on our butt.
I think so too.
We need a counterweight.
Yeah, what's that, Brenda?
Sorry. Dang, I think they're trying to tell me something.
But you know, our gosh, just think Missouri's been a state for 200 years now. So hard to believe. Seems like just yesterday.
I remember when I was right over here, underneath this big oak tree.
Well, I appreciate your interest and your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, my feeling is just be involved, get involved, stay involved. You know, it can be really hard sometimes because you know sometimes you feel like you're beating your head against the wall. You know. I've been in a lot of battles, you know, but it's always good, I think, when people get involved and share your feelings and be involved in the process. The judicial system is sort of designed, and I know this is frustrating. It's designed to not be swayed by politics, right? And so, you know, that can be frustrating at times, but also it's good because it insulates it from, you know, the political things and just make sure that it's upholding constitutional rights and following the law, and you know, those are the things it's supposed to be doing. So,
do we have any kind of information on the Fourth Amendment and cell phone use, or are we going to cover that today? Or?
I did not bring that. That's the PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have a handout or anything.
So can you tell me? Can you just tell us a little bit about it without having to do? With cell phones, well, I remember I kind of was under the impression of like recording a traffic stop or something like that, and you're like, no, it goes much deeper.
It's not really about that. I mean, you can. My understanding is you can record a traffic stop. Yeah, that's certainly permissible. No, that presentation deals with search warrants and what the police and prosecutor can get from cell phone.
From our citizen cell phone, or what we can get from their cell phone?
What the police can get from citizens. And well, really from the cell phone companies.
But they already have it anyway.
So yeah. For like location of where people are and that kind of
really?
And because you know once the police get a hold of the cell phone, they can pretty much figure out where that phone was just about any time. They solve a lot of crimes that way.
Right.
But all that went through the U.S. Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court basically ruled that the cell phone companies have to provide that information, that it's not protected under the Fourth Amendment. That's kind of where that presentation goes. It takes 45 minutes to get there, but that's
the short of it.
That's the short of it.
I'm not familiar. I should know the Constitution by heart because I had to write it too much as a kid as punishment, but I cannot remember what the Fourth Amendment is. Can you?
Well, basically, that we're protected from unreasonable searches and seizures. That warrants have to be issued upon probable cause and under oath. And you know, like I said, I signed a lot of search warrants, but I never did it without a police officer swearing that the information was true on the affidavit. And then I had to determine that there was probable cause that a crime had been committed and that there was evidence of that crime in that particular location that was specifically described in that search warrant. So that's the essence, I think, of the Fourth Amendment. Now there's a lot of case law precedent that goes into. So when do you have probable cause to search and when do you not? You know, if you get pulled over and they search a car and the trunk and you know you give permission and all those kinds of things. There's a whole that's evolved over all kinds of many years through the U.S. Supreme Court. It's a fascinating area of the law, but again, very fact specific. It just depends on the individual case.
I have a question about complaints, and this might not be anything that you could ever even answer for us, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there because I'm very confused. So I have an officer complaint for our town, and turned that into the city hall, waited and waited and waited, no response, got a call from the chief, said that they will not accept those complaints, I need to take it to Lincoln County, took it to Lincoln County. Sheriff Harold, one of his deputies came out and said, we do not take these, you have to take them to the highway patrol. They said they will not investigate another municipality within their county. I said, okay, well, I talked to the highway patrol yesterday, they said I have to go through this system before they will get involved, which is city, county, attorney generals, governor, and then they get involved. And so now I'm at my house with these complaints, not only from me, but from other citizens not knowing where to go with them.
I'm sorry, Angela,
No,
I don't know.
I'll ask my attorney on Monday.
Yeah, I really don't know anything about how
I just thought
that-
I'd throw it out there,
Yeah.
because I'm in a pickle.
How are you on the city ordinance that says, states of city ordinance, they can show up, come onto your property, inspect it anytime they want. Anytime they get a wild hair, they don't need to be chasing nobody or nothing, right? I intercepted two of them crossing our driveway. He said, we're doing this. I explained to him, your city ordinance is a violation of federal statute, and I will drag your ass into court. And he said, it's been tried. Go ahead, spell my name right. Okay, I was in Texas back in 80, 81. I know how to go to federal court and go run around that. He got in the car and left. He asked if I was a lawyer. I told him, no, but I can read. You can get it all at the state legislature's website. And they got back in their car and left. So if you need a warrant to come onto my property without an invitation, you need to go. Unless you're in pursuit of someone in flight or an emergency, you know, I mean, where do these folks go when they're intimidating some of these folks? I don't spook so easy, you know what I mean? But some of these folks are intimidating.
Well, fortunately, our system is designed to try to prevent people's constitutional rights from being violated.
Right.
And, you know, it works, considering every other nation in the world, it works pretty well, I think. But they're always isolated.
I mean, I was at 20 years ago, I was able to go around following the chain in the state because you violated federal law. So I can go right to Eastern District.
Well, here's what I found out is Attorney General's website has multiple complaint forms. And they've already sent me a letter.
I used to work for the Attorney General's office, like consumer complaints.
Consumer,
example.
sunshine law violations,
Chapter 610,
corruption.
the Sunshine Law, public corruption.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the AG's website is wonderful.
If you're not sure you have the right one, just fill them all out.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a good.
I got the reply, we cannot help you with your complaints on the city, the mayor, the police department, Lincoln County Sheriff's Department, or whatever else I had mentioned. Thank you for filling it out.
Channel 2? They dig into it for you.
Well, I appreciate you coming out.
Good to meet you all. Again,
You too.
I mentioned
Thank you.
when we started, I used to represent Lincoln County in the state senate, so it's kind of fun to be back in Winfield. But
Right.
How come you didn't want to go further up into like? I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just learning all this stuff since
Okay.
all this has been
All right.
happening. But you know, like,
Well,
why didn't you just quit it as senator?
well, I actually ran for Congress.
Oh, did you
That
really?
didn't go too well.
What year was that?
That's too bad.
2000.
Wow, I remember.
I ran for
That
U.S.
was
Congress
brilliant.
in 2000. So let's just put it this way. I was 11-1 in my elections. So that's the one that I lost. So,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But that's impressive.
Yeah.
No, I've been very blessed. I've enjoyed
Well, you probably needed a break.
I got the same record in pro se appearance.
11-1.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
That
that's
ain't
funny.
bad, is it?
Uh-huh.
In what?
Representing yourself, per se.
I've enjoyed serving. I really have. It has its ups and downs. There's no doubt about it. But like I said, I admire anybody that wants to get involved. And
Well, because it comes with the price.
it's not easy. You know, you don't make everybody happy.
No.
That's for sure. And any judge, you know, I mean, it's not your job to make people happy. It's your job to apply the law. You know.
Right.
So.
There's a little funny on the internet right now. It's you walk in a room, you wonder if people like you, and now you walk in a room and you wonder if you like them. And I said, well, you walk in a room, you just got things to do.
So, well, it's a beautiful day. Enjoy your day, and
Thank you, Todd.